104.5 The Team, your home for New York sports. We're joined by Field Yates right now, ESPN NFL insider. Field, Cam Newton, his comments have caught fire. It has become a gigantic deal. How should the Panthers react to him?
Well, I think we've seen some of the reaction for the Panthers on Wednesday nights when they released a statement of sorts. I'm not sure that we'll see any punishment for Cam Newton. I don't want to say it's unprecedented for teams to punish players for what they say in the media. I mean, the Patriots did so with Wes Welker a while back when he made some comments about Rex Ryan. But I would be surprised if it went that far for Cam Newton, which is not to say that I justify the comments. I just feel like with, I think that, a team, it would take a pretty significant development at this point for me to see the team punishing him directly for his comments, however crass and insensitive as they were.
Across the league, how do people in front offices perceive Cam Newton? As a face of a franchise or something else?
Well, I mean, he's a quarterback that's played at a high level, which kind of default makes him a face of the franchise type player. But, the bottom line is we get on athletes when there are times we get on athletes for a lack of honesty and a lack of transparency, right? They give kind of these canned answers that are just sort of blah. But at the same time, teams don't want them to be honest to the point of disrespect, which is where Cam was. Obviously he said something he felt, but there's no place for that. This is 2017, and it's such a naive comment for Cam to make that. Yeah, I mean, this is something that general managers or coaches don't want to deal with from their starting quarterback, who is supposed to be as adept in front of the mic as perhaps any player on the roster. That's part of the responsibility that's baked into being a starting quarterback, especially one that was a former number one overall pick who's been in front of the spotlight for a decade or longer now, or close to it at least, and one that's now the highest paid player in franchise history.
Field Yates with us. All right, Field, let's go back to the field itself. Most surprising to you, 2-2 Jets, 3-1 Bills, or 0-4 Giants?
I would go. Each one offers a different level of surprise, but I will go with the Bills. As I'm in a pleasant mood today, so let's go with a pleasant surprise. And the Bills have just been phenomenal, and I give so much credit to head coach Sean McDermott and GM Brandon Beane for what they've been able to do. And there is so little opportunity in the NFL to put your mark on a team rapidly, but they've been able to do it. The culture is clear. It is a disciplined team. It is a team that's going to play hard. And I know these are all cliches, but we don't see it every week around the NFL with every single team. They seem to have truly bought into what Sean McDermott is all about, and they're reaping the rewards. A 3-1 start that, even if it doesn't sustain for the rest of the season, this has already been a strong start to the new era in Buffalo.
Phil, we had Sal Capaccio on, and he covers the Bills for WGR, and I asked him, and I'm going to ask you, is this more of an indictment on the way Rex Ryan ran the team, or more of a compliment to how Sean McDermott does?
Yeah, I definitely would go with what Sean McDermott's been able to do, and someone who's been waiting a long time for his head coaching opportunity, and he's well known in NFL circles for being a grinder and someone who's got a no-nonsense approach about him. Kind of reminds me of Mike Zimmer in that way. And it's not a surprise that Mike Zimmer also brought immediate results to the Minnesota Vikings when he took over as their head coach. So it's someone that knows what he wants in players, knows what he wants in his team, and it's no surprise to me that he has clearly and completely bought into, or players have clearly and completely bought into his mentality. The results on the field are the part that's a little bit of a surprise for me.
Of those three teams, the Jets, the Bills, the Giants, which is most likely to continue this trend going for the remainder of the season?
I don't know the answer. I think the answer is going to be none of them, but I guess I'll go with the Bills again, just to keep that theme going. I don't think the Giants are going to be an 0-4 team every quarter. They might not win more than 6 games, but I think they're going to get better. The Jets, I think, have a chance to kind of level off and be maybe more of a 4-12 team or a 5-11 team than a 2-2 team, which is where they have been so far this season. So I think that the Bills have a chance, I think, to win. Maybe between 8 or 9 games. Might make a lot of sense to me for this team based off where they started. The fact that they've got another game against the Jets, they've still got 2 more games against the Dolphins. I think that a 8-8, 9-9 season is very much in play.
All right, Phil. So we do a pick segment every Friday Goz picks fantasy players. I pick games against the spread. And last week, I'm taking the Giants because there's no way a team this talented can start the season 0-4. I'm really tempted to take the Giants again and go, there's no way a team this talented can start 0-5. It can't happen, can it?
It can.
No.
It can. I mean, listen, I like the Chargers. I mean, I like the Giants in this game against the Chargers. Traveling west to east, early game, the Chargers. But, someone's going to have to be 0-4 because I think you could say there's at least comparable levels of talent between L.A. and the Giants, right? Like, even if you feel like one roster is definitely more talented than the other, like it's not like they're worlds apart. So it definitely, one of these teams is going to fall to 0-5. I think the Giants end up being the team that gets their first win of the season. But two teams that have been amongst the biggest disappointments in the NFL this year.
We kick off Week 5 tonight with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the New England Patriots. How do you see this game playing out tonight?
I think the Bucs end up winning this game in a high-scoring affair. The Patriots have really struggled to stop people defensively. No mystery there. And the Bucs, though, I'm not sure they're going to have a lot of answers for that Patriots offense, which I think, most people would contend is one of the 3 or 4 best offenses in football. And Tom Brady is playing, electric ball right now. He has been so good for the Patriots in his age 40 season. And the Bucs are banged up right now. Levante David is doubtful for this game. Quan Alexander is out for this game. TJ Ward is doubtful for this game, and the team promoted the practice squad safety, which tells you kind of everything you need to know. So the middle of that Bucs defense, Keith Tandy also out or doubtful for this game. It's vulnerable right now. The Patriots have weapons that can stress you all over the field, but this could be a night where even if he's not 100%, Gronk could make a critical impact in the middle of the field. Same goes for James White, the running back who's so good out of the backfield as a pass catcher.
Field Yates with us now. Field is the reason that we love having you on Thursdays is you can seamlessly transition into the world of fantasy. I am a Raiders fan. I have Derek Carr on multiple teams. What do I do now that his back is broken?
Well, there actually, there are some available streaming quarterbacks this week. Now, hopefully you proactively addressed it earlier on in the week. No player was more added this week than Deshaun Watson, the exciting rookie quarterback, of course, for the Houston Texans, and he was electric this week, obviously. He was just incredible for what he did for them in Week 4 and really the past 3 weeks. I mean, he is now owned in over 80% of leagues on ESPN.com. There was a time recently when I wrote about him before last week's game where he was at like 10.5%. So he has been added like few players have been added in quite some time. He would be a reasonable streaming option. Alex Smith would be a good option to consider. Eli Manning would be a good option to consider. So there are some available options right now. They're not popularly owned. Andy Dalton will be one as well, although I have some concerns going against that good Bills defense. But that's probably where you have to turn right now and hope that Derek Carr is closer to that 2-week time frame to that 6-week time frame because 6 weeks, that's, if you don't have Derek Carr as your starter for the next 6 weeks, that this is the meat of the fantasy regular season. Now is the time to make your hay.
Phil, let's pretend I'm in an evil league where everybody scooped up quarterbacks and they saw I lost mine, and I'm between Jacoby Brissett and Deshaun Kaiser.
Wow.
Oh, no. Ouch.
Hypothetically
Is this a real
speaking.
league?
Yeah, everybody saw my quarterback
huh?
go down, and they went nuts, and they picked up everything.
Okay, evidently. Here's what I would say is, I would personally choose Deshaun Kaiser.
Okay.
But when I say that, that's like saying, hey, I would feel better about, your slightly better option. I mean, honestly, in our consensus ranks on ESPN.com, 3 out of the 5 have Brissett behind Kaiser. I have Brissett behind Kaiser. But I get, listen, both have a favorable matchup. Brissett's run the football, more effectively than some people realized he would. You're just hoping for the best. Yeah. You're hoping for 15 points and getting out of Dodge after that.
Yes, okay. That sounds fair.
The only other question I had, Phil, is that we have bye weeks coming up on the way. Is there any way in particular you handle bye weeks? Do you dump guys quickly? Do you stream? What's the best way to handle it?
Yeah, I think it depends on the position. Hopefully you insulated your running back and wide receiver spots a little bit so that you're not getting to the bye week and having to pick up 2 or 3 guys. But always be thinking 1 or 2 weeks ahead. Each week on the waiver wire column now I outline, here are the teams that are coming up on a bye. The more you get ahead of the game, the better position you'll be going forward. For quarterbacks and for tight ends and defenses and kickers, you can probably stream because you only play one player at that spot. But when it comes to running backs and wide receivers, like you hope that you padded your depth enough either through the draft or in the weeks ahead of your respective star buys, because it's not easy. I mean, right now, the number of players that are available on the waiver wire at running back or wide receiver that you can count on to trust this week, I mean, you could probably count that on a single hand.
Field Yates, man, we appreciate your help, even if it was basically telling me that I was choosing between a headache and a tummy ache.
Yeah, not a great spot there. But you know something? Maybe Jacoby Brissett and Deshaun Kaiser are listening to the program right now, and they're like, I'm going to prove you guys wrong. So we'll see what happens.
I'll take any motivation I can get, man. Have a great weekend.
Thanks, guys. Take care.